We should add a few more keywords and narrow down the search.
Let me think. Pink hair, but no hood. And she has a black ribbon in her hair. And...
Wings, mother lover! She got wings! Start with that! Well, hello there. Welcome to the office, everyone. D. Dyson Hudson here.
Watana.
So, I finally got to play 2.8 and, oh boy, a lot have happened. Remial turned out to be a gilf, a mysterious new faction got introduced, people call the proxies out for being womanizers, and they mass-produced Romeol now, as if one big bad wolf wasn't enough. On other notes, Premiere is finally here and I think I like BDSM now. Please, don't judge me. Phaethon bonded with Venom and learned how to autofarm. We witnessed the start of a love story like none that came before. And finally, Billy hit both the Kamen Rider and the Michael Jackson at the same time? Now that's a smooth criminal. There's a lot to unpack here, so why don't you take a seat? Let's crack this case wide open. Welcome back. Like I said, a lot have happened, so let's start with the easy part. Romeol getting the Mechamania treatment. Yeah, you thought one was bad, how about an army? Jokes aside though, this makes Top's goals much more clear. Before, I said their secondary reason for sponsoring the competition was to recruit Void Hunter level individual, but I was half right. Because why hire a Void Hunter who could eventually betray you when you could just steal their data and mass-produce intelligent construct with the same abilities? It also lines up with Comfy Blue recent video about Tops using the music industry to mass-produce singer-soldiers like Vesper, which sounds crazy, but I stopped questioning the power of music the moment Hatsune Miku became god. Seriously though, an army of intelligent constructs summoning Susanoo on command is horrifying. And you're telling me they're trying to do the same for Void Hunters? Feels like they're making an army to combat their creator or anything in their way, really. This also gives the W engine another purpose because Tops didn't just use it to lure Remial, they were preparing it for the intelligent construct they planned to create using her data. Which, thank god, didn't happen. By the way, I highly recommend checking out Comfy's Blue video on the topic. I'll leave a link in the description, and while you're there, maybe you could leave a comment saying you came from here and help me get my senpai to notice me. Anyway, speaking of W engines, I really got hit with some cruel irony when I realized its true purpose. In my original script for the previous video, I theorized that the W engine was going to end up with Colonel Vike, the intelligent construct Void Hunter, and he would help Remial recover her ancestor Void Hunter weapon. But I scrapped the idea because I thought Remial herself was going to be the Void Hunter. So I was wrong about Vike, but right about Remial, and the W engine did end up being the key to recover the Void Hunter weapon, Thaumiel. Which means we went from mystical swords to mystical wings? Apparently the creator had a PhD in aerodynamic. I don't know, man. Interestingly, this is not the first time that the creator was associated with wings. The messenger had wings made using the stolen flint Porceloy, and we still don't know who stole it. And Thaumiel seems to be made out of the same material, suggesting that the wings themselves may have not been created by the creator, but their power source was, especially considering the same glow to the Simning Sword, and all the Void Hunter weapons seem to have monsters inside of them. Yet, the biggest mystery is who left it there. Personally, I think it was Remial herself, because when she said,
Well, this is where we say goodbye, my old friend. And I truly hope that we never see each other again.
I think that was her saying goodbye to her weapon. But why bury something this powerful? Well, probably because she intended to disappear, just like Sunbringer vanished into Roscalipers, Joyce into the Divine Maze, and Professor Archie into Hollow Zero. All the Void Hunters seemingly vanished after discovering something, though we don't have a clue to what that might be. But back on track, we also got a new ability from Phaethon, the ability to see past events like Yunquei Summit technique, but with no miasma required, which gives more weight to the growing time manipulation theory online. The vision also showed us a mysterious figure standing right beside Remial and implied to be strong enough to kill her if she was turned into an ethereal. My first thought was the leader of the Falconhane mercenary group. I mean, who could kill a Void Hunter but another one? And they were shown together in the trailer, implying they were friends or worked together. Yet the hairstyle doesn't match, so it could have been a redesign or another person entirely. We simply don't have enough information to say. Speaking of Void Hunters, Lady Sunbringer is alive, and Remial was confirmed to be Colonel Dan, the Void Hunter from 100 years ago, meaning we have multiple survivors from the same era. But not only that, Remial also attempted to assassinate Lady Sunbringer, leaving us with two questions: how are they alive and why do they be beefing? I mean, there has to be more to the story, right? Remial clearly wants answer from Sunbringer, and killing her won't accomplish that. Unfortunately, we don't have enough information to understand their conflict, but we do have an interesting clue. Remial mentioned the doctor best suited for the both of us at Roscalipers, implying we're suffering from the same blight that allowed her to survive for 100 years. And possibly the other Void Hunters as well, considering most of them are either confirmed to be alive or implied to be. Almost like they were displaced out of time, abandoned by their creator. And Sunbringer might be hiding the reason. While I was rewatching Season 3 trailer and researching, I've noticed that the statue in the background resembled the Ecstasy of Saint Teresa, a sculpture depicting an angel piercing Teresa's heart with a spear, causing pain and spiritual ecstasy, symbolizing transformation through suffering, surrendering, and the union with God. But the angels are posed like the famous painting Saint Michael vanquishing Satan, and that symbolizes defeating Betrayal. This immediately reminded me of the theme of surrendering to the creator and gaining power, but what really made me take it seriously is finding a commenter on my video saying the same. So, could their survival be tied to the creator and the crystal door in Hollow Zero, and does Lady Sunbringer already knows the truth yet continue to use it anyway? I mean, in the lower entry we collected, she often sounded guilty of knowledge.
Her knowledge of the Hollows is almost too extensive, don't you think? And every time a Hollow shifts, she somehow finds a new exit almost instantly. But whenever we ask her what the trick is, she keeps changing the subject with that same sad look on her face.
That said, I'm not claiming that every Void Hunter is a time-traveling immortal. That would be ridiculous. I think each one has their own method of surviving time, their own curse if you will. Colonel Vike is an intelligent construct, so it makes sense there. And Romeol's survival could be related to her feather's ability, reducing ether activity to 0. If ether activity can't be completely suppressed, maybe it can place someone in status, halting their age. I mean, she did say that time tends to be kinder to a person like her. This could also connect back to Nangang, another angel whose wings were replaced by cybernetics. Angel Thyrans are extremely rare, so maybe rumors about an angel Void Hunter whose wings could stop aging led to them being hunted. That would explain the scars on her back, and she does seem to carry a dark past. And if the leaks about Remial being an ether anomaly agent, and Nangang is an ether stun agent, maybe all angel possess similar abilities. But this theory is a bit of a stretch, so for now just consider it food for thoughts. But back to the case, how about Lady Sunbringer? How did she survive? Well, I think I have an answer for that too. In my Season 3 trailer reaction that will pop up somewhere if you would like to watch it, I talked about the cloning theory surrounding Silver Company and Void Hunter replicas. Some people think that MB and Soldier 11 were cloned from Yeshuan's sisters, while others say it was Lady Sunbringer. I can't lean fully either way, but one detail stands out. Lady Sunbringer's horns are mechanical, similar to Orphe, who is a clone herself. That made me wonder if Sunbringer consciousness is preserved somehow and transferred between different clones. Considering how advanced Roscalipers seem to be, and the fact that the military already did it, it doesn't sound like a far-fetched. Still, this is now just speculations. Speaking of speculation, there might be another explanation: Roscalipers and the Crystal Door. In my reaction video, I highlighted the phrase Celestial Nexus as a deliberate choice of words. Celestial usually means sky or cosmic, while Nexus means central or hub. Now that Valina told us it's an airspace zone, it could simply be referring to that. Or it could be a hint at the nature of the place, a localized temporal frame. Okay, buckle up, because if you hated physics class, I'm about to trigger your PTSD. In modern physics, there is no universal clock. Time depends on gravity, velocity, and space-time curvature. So two places can experience different amount of time. It's the reason why clocks tick at different rates between planets. Cause stronger gravity or faster motion means slower time, however the difference is usually so tiny it doesn't actually matter. Unless you were near a great gravitational pull like a black hole, then your time would slow dramatically relative to Earth. From outside, you would appear almost frozen, but to you, everything would be normal. We call this a gravitational time dilation. Near event horizons, minutes for you could equal years outside, basically a real-time bubble. So if a spacecraft travels extremely fast, time on board slows, meaning your local time becomes partially disconnected from the outside universe. Not separate entirely, but flows differently. Yet that requires Roscalipers to travel at the speed of light or exist some near-great gravitational pull, and well, there's nothing like that in the sky, right?
Watana.
Ah, fuck. Mahalo! Hollows are weird. Playing the game, you've probably noticed that time moved differently there. There is even an NPC from the White Star Institute suggesting that Hollow Zero might be going through different cycles than us. And though Sunbringer eradicated the hive mind hollow in the sky, from the devs we learned that there are hollow-like environment in Roscalipers. And there was also that strange hollow in the trailer that warped around like a black hole. But if Roscalipers exists in some kind of temporal bubble, how does it stay connected to the outside world? Well, I mentioned being partially disconnected from spacetime, but not entirely, so there could be a number of things. One of them is a wormhole, a bridge connecting two locations or potentially even two different time periods. Because some suggest that if one side of the wormhole is near great gravity, it could create time difference between the entrants. So one side ages differently from the other, and hypothetically you could enter from one era and exit out of another. ZZZ doesn't have wormholes, but hollows serve a similar role. So you could enter from your time period and emerge inside Roscalipers during another one. Now I don't think this is what Roscalipers is, we're not going to enter inside a time-dilated hollow to reach there. But the game has been clearly hinting at some time shenanigan tied to the hollow, so I thought it's worth paying attention to before more direct evidence starts appearing. And it's the perfect chance to talk about the hollow mechanics before I eventually make a full video about them, because I have to. I mean, they're connected to the story, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, this leaves us with the biggest question yet. Where do the proxies fit into all this time displacement madness? Well, like I said before, the game has been hinting at some time shenanigans from the start. We've seen visions from the past, objects from different era, and in Season 1 we've been literally giving a time rewind prompt. Most of us assumed it was a storytelling device showing us the end before rewinding to the beginning, but now it feels like there may have been more to it. I mean, how could this be our first time in Wi-Fi Peninsula, yet we somehow met Yixing Wang as kids? It's either we have Alzheimer's or our memories don't belong to this timeline. Hear me out. In Flashpoint, Flash travels back in time, saving his mother and creating a new timeline in the process. And the longer he remains there, the more memories from that new world begin to replace his original ones. And that dream sequence with Shang Wang felt similar because something about it did feel off. Look, I hate this too. That's why I tried to keep my theories grounded instead of just yelling time travel. I'd rather look at the possible mechanics behind it and how each character could fit into it like I just did. But at this point, there are too many hints to completely ignore the possibility. And I'm not saying we physically traveled back in time, but maybe our consciousness did. Because this could explain the memory glitch and the weird past and future visions we keep getting. Like I said, I'm gonna try to keep things grounded like I did with Sunbringer, but just keep it in mind, okay? Great, now let's talk about the mysterious new faction. And yes, I'm calling them a faction because of the usage of the word they and we a lot, implying multiple people. To know who they might be, let's first look at the facts. Whoever they are connected to Helios Academy because when we first met them on the cliff, Remial mentioned looking at their memories. What's even more stranger that Remial addressed us as Phaethon and knew about our teacher. But if she didn't even know nitro fuel, how did she know about us? Her new partner must have told her. Their symbol was also unique. What stood out to me was the eye, reminding me of the symbol of the radiant eye of Helios. Since he was also considered a god of observation in mythology, this could be a nice connection. I also searched and I couldn't find anything in the game related to it, except maybe the symbol on the Krampus bamboo. Of course, Krampus themselves may know nothing, but the person who made the bamboo might know, perhaps someone from Roscalipers. So again, who are they? Well, they're from Helios Academy, knows about Phaethon, and might be connected to Roscalipers. This leaves us with two options. The first is Carol Arna herself. Romeol asking those questions might have been her trying to learn about her new partner, and they seem to be protective of us, at least seem so. But I don't think that's the case. It's a possibility, and a very weak one at that. The second, and probably the right one, is the two people from the Helios Academy picture. They check all the marks. They're from Helios Academy, knows about Phaethon, and in the trailer we see them briefly walking out of an office that might be in Roscalipers. Which even makes more sense because Remial is wanted there, so she would need someone from the inside to get her in. But I'm willing to do you one better. They might be the ones who stole the flint porceloid patch from Roscalipers for the messenger's body. Carol and Helios Academy seem to have worked with the Exaltus, so these two might have kept in touch. Speaking of Helios Academy, we got another dreamlike vision where the scientist there made a promise to seize the sun, which feel like a metaphor for obtaining the impossible, the ability to live inside the hollow. Which might be important because in Icarus myth, hubris led to his downfall. So maybe Helios Academy had a goal of helping people overcoming the hollow, only to evolve into something like the Exaltus goal, opening inhuman experience, which begs the question...
Are we the baddies?
I mean, even the proxies changed their answer about Carol, so perhaps the Helios Academy was not that much different from the Exaltus. The only difference is, where the Exaltus failed, they succeeded. This seemed to imply that Icarus may not be an alias for someone, but for an experiment. Project Icarus. The proxy's transformation and pulling the mechanical parts near them are actually very similar to the behavior of the sacrifice that Billabog fought, as they also merged with the machines in their vicinity. Also, Seed exerted a similar behavior near intelligent constructs, and she in particular was able to survive a hollow for a month without any sign of corruption, similar to the sacrifices. And now we know that she's also from Helios Academy, which begs the question, what is the price of becoming a god? What lies at the end of the ether aptitude? When the other awaken, would you be its slave or its master? Remial suggested two opposing forces inside of us. The Scorched Sun when you become the slave, and Pyrios when you become the master. Oh yeah, speaking of the Scorched Horizon, apparently our protagonist was so disappointed by the anticlimactic boss fight that they say, fuck it, I'll be the boss fight.
Well, I'm right f***ed, aren't I?
Right in the down under.
It's interesting to notice the design choice here. One side have wing-shaped blade like Icarus, and the other was bare like Phaethon. But I guess the biggest twist came in the boss description. Quote, the cold glare of the lap table, the sudden uncontrollable force, the faces drains of life, the memories are stingily vivid, leaving indelible scorch mark on the mind. Who is calling out? That voice pierces through the roar of blood rushing in the ears, briefly striking a faded name and granting their consciousness a momentary respite before their sanity is completely incinerated. A choice must be made. Don't bring about another disaster. Go away. Leave. Where? With whom? To do what? I think we did make a promise like that. We shall catch the sun. Sounds cryptic? It doesn't make sense until we come back home. The proxies mention an incident and something that didn't go away. I'm willing to bet that that was the experiment Project Icarus. So the proxies are both Phaethon and Icarus at the same time. Great, so now we know Icarus. So what are they then? Honestly, I'm not sure. They're like a jack of all trades. They might be a living Void Hunter weapon. Like I mentioned in my previous video, they have a simulated hollow inside of them, which works the same way as the Miyabi's cabin for Talus, as well as the Shimning Sword because it has two entities inside of him that's slowly destroying the wielder. Which reminds me of what Remial said about us. We have two forces inside of us that are fighting for control. They might be a sacrifice with the Venom impersonation leaders did, or they might be the children of the creator. The same guys who were struggling to run 5 miles to save their lives in Season 1. Yeah, I'm done. That's it for the investigation. Thanks for everyone who commented on my last ZZZ video and brought my attention to Top's consultant. I already knew that, but I just kept it for the drama, but from now on I promise I'll stick to the facts. And for this commenter who asked about a video for the creator, don't worry, I have one planned, though it will be more information breakdown since we don't have enough to make a theory. And if you're new to the channel, have you ever wanted to make your own custom bamboo? Maybe a Viking ice theme bamboo, or a jazz singer bamboo, or even a creepy thing inspired bamboo? Well, good news for you. All of these were made by me. In fact, everything in the office was replicated in Illustrator because I couldn't afford the actual assets. Now don't worry, I'm doing this completely for free. Just subscribe, find the post link in the description, leave a like, and comment your bamboo design idea. I will pick my favorite designs and turn them into full illustrations. Just keep in mind they take time to make and I'm already under a tight schedule. Honestly, I'm mainly doing this to connect with you guys and have some fun together, and hopefully put a smile on someone's face. And if this gets enough support, I might expand it into a custom ZZZ character illustration with outfits of your choosing. Just show me love and I'll show it back. And one final thing, I'm preparing a guide video for ZZZ, but I'm not confident in my explanation ability. So I made a test video covering the Hotpot Summer event. I would appreciate you watching it and give me some feedback. Was the explanation easy to follow? Was anything confusing? Was it too fast or was it too slow? I will use your input to simplify and improve my explanation style for the video coming. Just think of it as a survey for future content. The video itself only takes 5 minutes, but it would generally help me improve my style. Thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to share, like, and subscribe because it's the best way to support the channel right now. And check the previous ZZZ videos to appease the algorithm gods. Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. I generally read your comment and your voice is heard here. My name was Detective Dice, and I hope to see you all on the next case.